My pleasure, my honor, Mr. Donald Dew.
Good morning. Good morning. All right, we're waking up this morning. Thank you so much, Dean Hairston. To Chancellor Alan Mears, Dean Hairston, Interim Associate Dean Bonecutter, to Ms. Arlene Norson, Dean Hulse, Interim Associate Dean Mitchell, faculty, graduating students, family, guests, colleagues, and friends. It is indeed a great honor to be asked to give the commencement address at my alma mater. It is indeed an honor because my parents placed great emphasis on education. My mother, Enola A. Dew, never let us forget, while we were growing up on the west side of Chicago, that she graduated from a high school, a Negro-approved high school in New Iberia, Louisiana. She, like many other African Americans during her era, migrated to Chicago seeking an improved quality of life. She, like many Americans, had a dream. She had a vision. One might even say she had a strategic plan. Our family was among those determined to battle poverty, crime, drugs, and the riots following the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. My mother was one of the founders of the Miles Square Health Federation right here on the west side of Chicago. She eventually became a public health advocate and became a lecturer to youth as coordinator for venereal disease prevention. As a footnote, and on the eve of Mother's Day, I am so happy to say that, God willing, a recent HUD reservation in the amount of $9.2 million to construct another 60 units of housing for senior citizens will bear my mother's name, Enola A. Dew Senior Apartments. I'll always love my mama. Our family also valued work, and it wasn't uncommon for my parents to work multiple jobs to make ends meet. Maybe that's the reason why I worked 3 jobs in high school, one at Continental Bank, one at Burger King, and also as assistant janitor at Hales Franciscan High School. Yes, graduates, I was tired sometime, but I was truly one of the best dressed students at Hales Franciscan High School. Their motto at Hales, I still hold dear today, unto perfect manhood. My next educational experience was at Lewis University in Romeoville, Illinois. While at Lewis, I decided on social work as a career and benefited from 2 educational tours to East and West Africa. While traveling to 8 different countries, that travel proved to be both an educational and cultural experience for me that impacted me even today. My interest in international affairs peaked, and I knew that I would forevermore certainly look at the world from a more global perspective. To walk among the pyramids was breathtaking, and to travel became one of my favorite pastimes. I recall my mother once saying, "Child, you travel more than any social worker I know." I would later go on to assist one of our local aldermen to ship 2 ambulances to South Africa and also to participate in an international model for HIV/AIDS prevention among youth. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that I also joined the ranks of Omega Psi Phi fraternity during that time. As a point of fact, I became a member of this fraternity because most of the major organizations of our day were headed by Omega men. The NAACP by Benjamin Hooks, Operation Push by Reverend Jesse Jackson, the National Urban League by Vernon Jordan. Omega men since 1911 have dedicated their lives to upholding the principles of manhood, scholarship, perseverance, and uplift. There are so many stories I could share with you about the challenges and triumphs of growing up on Chicago's West Side and about my life prior to JACSW. But today, I want to emphasize and share with you reflections, in large part made possible by this great institution, the Jane Addams College of Social Work. It's all right to clap about that. Now, during my first year at Jane Addams, I was exposed to a curriculum that stimulated my clinical compassion and desire to help those most in need within our urban community. I clearly remember embracing a mantra that encouraged me to help as many people as possible for as long as possible to the greatest extent possible. Yes, I realized that in order to do this, I needed training. I needed a skill set that would be empowering. I knew that I was being inspired and realized that by reading about Jane Addams and the tremendous influence she had in so many civic, social, national, and international spheres, that this would definitely provide the direction necessary. I was inspired by the impact of so many social workers over the years that I wanted to do my part. It was our time now. What would our generation of social workers contribute to the well-being of our citizens? What would our generation of social workers do to combat the social ills of our time? What would our generation of social workers do to influence social policy and have a macro-level impact on future generations? Well, without question, the JACSW curriculum and practicum experience prepared many of us for those challenges. During that first year, I completed a field practicum at the Juvenile Court of Chicago, Rutherford County. How wonderful was that, to work in an institution conceived and inspired by our very own Jane Addams, and to realize that generations of children and families were to be positively impacted by this policy, by this paradigm shift. During my second year, I shifted my focus to mental health and spent a year at the Westside Veterans Administration Hospital. There, I experienced even greater aspects of the social work profession. It was there that I was exposed to medical, behavioral health, post-traumatic stress, and family systematic approaches while working with veterans and their families. By this time, I was sitting in seats similar to those and just wondering, graduates, and anticipating, how long would it be before I get that well-deserved diploma? Can he please finish with that speech? I also realized that this was going to be an opportunity for me to get a little bit more sleep at night and dream sweet dreams now that it was all over. Yes, but this was also an opportunity for me to visualize my future and my role. Yes, to more clearly define that role, as Napoleon Hill described in his notion of having a definite chief aim in life in his text, Law of Success, published over 70 years ago. Mr. Hill described the 6 basic fears that most humans experience that tend to paralyze us and stifle any aspiration for success and improvement. Briefly, these 6 basic fears include poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, and death. During my graduate study at JCSW, I'm certain our graduates clearly understood the challenges during various life stages and what was needed to navigate each one.